All right, guys, this is Paul McMillan II. And in this training, we're going to actually go over how to kind of trade NFP. And I'm going to actually use NAS100 as an example. It was NFP yesterday. So that is June the 3rd, Friday, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to kind of analyze what the market did according to the news here, and also how in the future we can actually trade it the right way. So that way we don't get caught into a bad trade and lose a lot of money. I ended up losing money in this trade because I didn't prepare properly. But we're going to make this video so we can study this so that way we'll know exactly what we are doing. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the news on Friday. So it's Friday, June 3rd. As you can see, at around 8:30 a.m., this is when the US dollar is going to be under major news, updates, okay? This is where they did a non-farm employment change, the unemployment rate, all of that. And really that affects the US dollar, but it also affects the NASDAQ 100 index as well, or index as well. They're all tied together. So anytime when the USD is affected, it's going to affect the NASDAQ, because the NASDAQ represents the index for the United States. So what we're going to do is, so this lasted from 8:30 to about, I'll say 10 o'clock, maybe 10:30. That's when, the US dollar kind of went back to normal a little bit. So I say around between 9:45 and 10 o'clock. So let's analyze the chart and see what happened. So when we look at the chart here, didn't mean to move that over. This is around, move this over. So this is around 8:15, okay? 8:15 in the morning or on yesterday. And they're saying that this happened 8:30. So this is 15 minutes before the US currency started to be affected by these major news updates and events, okay? So we're going to kind of analyze it one by one. So when we look at, I'll move this up here for now. When we look at the next candle here, so this was around 8:45. I'm going to move this vertical line because we don't really, I just put that there so that way I know where to start. Let me save my progress. So this is 8:30. So it makes sense why price started to drop heavily at this point. Now, typically when I trade currencies or indexes, doesn't matter. I usually wait for the 9:30 bell because that's when price really wants to go where it goes. But when you're dealing with NFP and major news updates like this, you want to expect the price to be manipulated. Now, at this point, I see that price was moving, but I didn't flinch or didn't do anything because I was prepared. I said, let me wait for the 9:30 bell, okay? So that's what I was planning on doing. Now let's look at the next candle. Now the next candle here, this dropped at 8:45, okay? And the funny thing about it is, I didn't get in, the price pulled in because I believe I jumped at the 9:30 bell. I did, I waited for the 9:30 bell because that was my goal. So this is 8:45, so price is pulling back, mitigating this area, still didn't get in. And then you're now talking about 9 o'clock, okay? So it's 9 o'clock. Now, what I did was price drops. Now, at this point, it is 9:15. Now, it's very tempting for me to get in at this point, but I still didn't get in. I still waited for the 9:30 bell, so it was another 15 minutes, okay? Then price closes down and drops. okay? Yeah, that's what happened. So let me go back a little bit here. Now I remember what happened. So price drops, it's 9:15, but I still didn't get in. I waited for the 9:30 bell. And so now at this candle, it's the 9:30 bell. Now price is pushing, and I drew market structure at this point. And I had my indicator on. Let me turn it on. I had my break and retest lines here. Matter of fact, let me just do something here. Let me pause this recording so you guys can actually get more of a picture of what was going on. Okay, I'm back. So this is the 9:30 bell, but price is dripping. Now, if I knew how to trade this, if I was better prepared, well, first things first is anytime when the market is going to be affected by major news. So let's just say in this example, anytime when the US dollar is going to be affected by news from 8:30 all the way to 9:30, I wouldn't trade it because it's too risky. And I'm going to show you why. So the first thing is that we're going to go back to the news. The news made it very clear that around from 8:30 to 9:45, the news are going to be crazy, and then possibly all the way up until 10 to 10:30, okay? But let's just say until 9:45, we're pretty much in the clear, okay? So let's go back to the chart. And as you can see, when you look at this candle, it's 9:30. So it's not 9:45 yet, okay? Now, the thing that I did was I waited for a price to break the 9:30 bell hits, right? And so then I see, oh, it's time to get in because it's going to sell. And price starts to push down. Now this is 9:45, okay? Now notice on the news it said at 9:45 that things are going to kind of be a little bit in the clear. Well, guess what? It's true, but price ended up going the other way. And that's why I lost my trade, because I'm going to rewind this slowly. Let me start here, and I'm going to push down the speed, okay? I'm going to actually make a note here. I'm going to say that, matter of fact, let me do this. I'm not going to do that yet. Let me erase this. So price closes down, and I'm thinking it's breaking and retesting. So I'm going to do this again, but I'm going to try to make it as slow as possible. Bear with me. The price closed down, hit down here. And you slow down the speed. So price break and retest, and I'm thinking it's ready to go, right? And that's when I jumped in. Now I'm going to put a note here, and I'm going to say, entered into, say sell, not short. Entered into a short, entered into a sell position, okay? Which equals that decision for NFP day or week. Because of price news, bought instead of selling. So lesson, don't trade NFP or NFP hours, or don't trade at. And that's what I'm going to put. Now here's the thing. If this was a normal day and there was no NFP, then it's a huge possibility that price probably would have continued to sell to this next zone. It's a possibility. But it didn't. It bought up and it put us in huge drawdown. And that's why I decided just to get out and just leave it alone. Now, here's the funny thing. This is the reason why I say don't trade NFP during NFP hours or don't trade at all during NFP day. Let's analyze what the market did moving forward. So when we look at the news, they're saying by really 10:30 we'll be in the clear. That's what they were saying. So I would say between 9:45 to really 11 o'clock we were in the clear. Let's see what the market did. Because the market did eventually sold and went down and we could have made money. So next candle starts to sell down, okay? Didn't get in. Now, I would have still waited for price to break this, no question. You see the strong wick when price bought up. This would have been my next opportunity to sell if it broke and retest that. So this is 10 o'clock, okay? Now, you look at the news for 10 o'clock, price is still kind of under some major news, but not as much. So at this point, it's safe to say that the market is probably operating somewhat normal now. Price is operating somewhat normal. And that's why price started to sell down. You see that this went down to 10.15, okay? Now let's see the next candle. Now look what happened. Now it's 10:30. Let's check 10:30 on the news now. So 10:30 is where price is pretty much, you know, still under some major news, but it kind of cleared up. You can look down here at this yellow folder when President Biden spoke. The US dollar was pretty much in the clear. So now let's observe that. So what we had entered into here, okay? Let's look at what the next candle did. Now it closed below. This probably would have been perfect opportunity to sell. So I'm going to say this entry would have been most appropriate for NFP day. Why? Because according to the news, the USD asset was pretty much clear of news events by 10:30. Let me double check that real quick. Hold on. Yeah, by 10:30. That is correct. 10:30 a.m. Friday. So more than likely this was moving normal. So that's what I'm going to put there for now. Now what I'm going to do is just push this all the way down to the bottom here. So that's why I'm saying that. Now, we closed in here. So let's say we entered here, okay? Let's see what the next price did. Look at that. So if we had entered here, because remember now let's first thing, let me do this first before I forget. This was 10:45 now. This is way after 10:30. So notice the news said 10:30, the US dollar is going to pretty much be in the clear of news. So it's going to go back to normal. Well, price started selling now. See? It's 10:45, it's 15 minutes after. Okay, then this is 11 o'clock. Price was clear. So if we had jumped in at 10:45, if we had waited at 10:45 for this candle to break, saw this would have been the perfect trade if we would have won. Look how many pips this is. Oh yeah, we would have made it back. Now let's see what else price does now next. And price went down a little bit harder. Now at this point, we could have actually exited out of here. So we still would have got a total of 800 pips worth of NAS. So I can make another note and say, well, actually, I don't need to make another note. This is what I could say. Click here, and I could say, as a result, price would have dropped hard by 11 a.m. and resulted in huge profit of, let me move this over, of 800 plus pips in NAS100 and would have successful day trade. Right? That's what would have happened. And we would have won that trade. I'm gonna pull it down a little bit down here, 800 plus pips. Now let's see if price ended up going down even further. Just a little bit curious. Probably didn't because it's at the bottom. Yeah, and then of course price started pushing up, which is understandable. So we would have been done. We would have been done right here. Would have popped just a little bit here, boom. So this was, well, matter of fact, I need to change this to 10:45. 10:45 a.m. All right. Let me space this a little bit wide. There we go. So at 10:45, we had entered in on this sell. Waited for the price to come down close below, we would kind of perfect sell here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put a text here. And we're going to say, hold on for a minute. I know I put the lesson up here, but I'm going to reiterate on it. Once again, the lesson is don't trade NFP during NFP hours, or don't trade at all during the NFP day. That's what we can learn from this. That way we don't get ourselves caught into a trade that puts us a huge drawdown, and then we have to draw, and then we have to jump out. That is my honest assessment. We'll do that. Let me see. That's my honest assessment, guys. So that's why I did this video, so that way we could do a better job of assessing our trades. So that way, if we end up with a huge loss because of news, we'll know how to trade around it, whether it's to trade around it or not to trade that off. It'll probably be best not to trade on NFP day, but if you do, make sure you wait until the news is over. Then make your decision. But that's it for this training video here. We will be doing more in the future. That way we'll know how to actually to address any losses that we experience in live markets. All right, guys. See you later.